What's up, guys? George Balekji here with Foxborough Rush. But hey, check out the latest episode of Boston has entered the chat. We have Craig Button of TSN stopping by to talk NHL draft with us and where the Bruins rebuild should start and who are some key guys in free agency they could bring in. Also, Ethan and Matt, of course, always hold it down with the ringside review, the latest from Monday Night Raw. And then Travis and I break down post-op on the Game 1 loss. Celtics blowing that 20-point lead. Where do they have to come correct? That's Boston has entered the chat, wherever you get your podcast. Now, let's get to Foxborough Rush. What's up? What's happening? George Balekji here with Sean McGuire and Foxborough Rush. Sean, how we doing, my man?
I'm good, George. It's flannel season between the two of us, though, in May, so I'm not really digging that.
I know. It's not just wearing a flannel. Like, I'm wearing, like, black and brown. Like, I'm wearing fall colors. I'm like, what am I doing? But that's the weather we got in New England, so.
That's right.
We'll find some sunshine talking about TreVeyon Henderson today's episode. Fun one. Sean, shout out to him. He spoke with the Ohio State running back coach, Carlos Lachlan. Also, Hopewell High School head football coach, Ricky Irby. Yes, TreVeyon Henderson's high school football coach. Went to school just outside of Richmond, Virginia. His whole family, legacies there. TreVeyon Henderson, a legend himself. So we'll be hearing from those guys, and we'll give our breakouts, our opinions. You know, we'll give our scouting report, TreVeyon Henderson, the high school prospect, what he could be for the Patriots. We will talk Patriots running back backfield, how it could break down, how it should break down, who we could see taking over what role, and how Rhamondre Stevenson and TreVeyon Henderson could work in harmony, or maybe not. I think it's harmony. And then we'll talk Julian Edelman into the Patriots Hall of Fame and rookie numbers coming out. Quick little teaser, TreVeyon rocking 32, which I absolutely love. All right, let's get into it. So TreVeyon Henderson, product of Hopewell High School, was an absolute legend there. Sean, you were the guy that spoke to his high school head football coach, Ricky Irby, also the Ohio State running back coach. But let's start with the high school days for him first. What did you learn about TreVeyon Henderson catching up with head coach Ricky Irby?
I learned a lot about him as a product, I should say a prospect, a player, I think as well a person. And really when you're talking to his high school football coach as well as his college football, the running backs coach, they're just really glowing reviews. But in terms of what you learned, it was one thing I learned, he was a 5-star prospect. So I kind of knew that going in. I did not know he had college offers, Division I college offers at 4 different positions. Mm-hmm. So he was a DB, he was a safety and a corner, as well as a wide receiver. That was his freshman and sophomore year, played for a state championship football team. One of the reasons he wasn't the running back at that time was because his older brother was a starting running back. And so then he goes, he's playing his sophomore year. It's late in his sophomore year, and the quarterback, the starting quarterback, gets injured right before a big game. So they threw in a wild card or a wildcat package for him at quarterback. And he scored the game-winning 80-yard touchdown late in the fourth quarter. And it was pretty much the way Ricky Irby put it was, that was his breakout game. And that was like this is the moment. This kid's got to be the running back going forward. So he comes back his junior year. He starts at running back. He's not playing as much on defense at that time anymore because how impactful he was. And then he finishes as the number 1 running back in the entire class of 2021. So you're talking about, like I said, the 5-star prospect, the top running back in the class, as well as a player who had college offer at 4 different positions. So I just thought that was kind of takes you back. I certainly wasn't any sort of high school athlete like that. I'm sure you weren't either, George. But when you hear something like that, it's definitely like, okay, this kid was destined to be a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah, I'm working on getting your scouting report from your high school days right now. I have sources plugged into the high school prep circuit. What's great, too, is that it's not just the D1 offers.
I was a public school kid in my defense, George.
Oh, same. Oh, no, hold on. Same here, bro. I'm proudly a product of the Wayne, New Jersey public school system. Randall Carter Elementary, George Washington Middle School, then Wayne Valley High School. Proud right here. It was also getting those offers. Notre Dame offered him to be a defensive back. Notre Dame, premier college defense. And he was in the same recruiting class as Donovan Edwards. Donovan Edwards, last college football season, wins a national championship with Michigan. Undrafted free agent that signs with the Jets. I think he's going to flourish there. That's a guy I wanted the Patriots to get. TreVeyon Henderson the next year wins a national championship with Ohio State and was also a guy that enrolled early. He got caught up in the COVID recruiting process. I forget exactly how it affected his high school year, but He helped
Yeah,
lead Hopewell High School to state 2 out of 3 seasons. And then after his junior year, he early enrolled that December in Ohio State. It wasn't an early enrollee after his senior football season. No, junior year, then he went to Ohio State. That says a lot about a kid that he can take on that workload and that work ethic, that demand of a it's Ohio State, one of 5 premier D1 programs.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned this before too, but you saying the Notre Dame thing made me think about it. So as Notre Dame, he was a cornerback. Clemson wanted him as a safety. Tennessee and Syracuse wanted him as a wide receiver. And again, those were just the offers to come in the spring of 2019 before he started playing running back. And then, Irby's quote was pretty funny. He's like, obviously, once he started playing running back, then everyone wants him as a running back. And he wasn't, those conversations kind of stopped. But yeah, it sounds like, him early enrolling at Ohio State was always what was in the plan. And another thing, TreVeyon Henderson he was a 4.0 student, straight A's in high school. I don't know if you fit that category either, George, but straight A student in high school. And he put himself in position to early enroll. And I think that just kind of, that sort of story just shows, his maturation as a high school kid. You're talking as a 17, 18-year-old kid. And, he's already putting himself in position to early enroll at a big time school to set him up for his future. I think that goes to show a lot.
Yeah, I agree. And even think of the programs like Oklahoma, you said they wanted him as a safety.
Yeah.
Or Clemson. Clemson wanted him as safety. Excuse me. Brett Venables was the defensive coordinator there. He was one of the best DCs in the country. And he's watching this kid play, and he goes, I want him to be a safety for my college. So he did end up with Ohio State. Let's get to the Carlos Loughlin soundbite you got for us. So here's Ohio State running back coach Carlos Loughlin on what makes TreVeyon Henderson so special.
The biggest strength of his game is his short area burst and overall speed.
Yeah.
Once he get his foot in the ground, he get his shoulder square. His speed actually translates to power. He's not a big guy. He's not a 220-pound back, but he runs with so much speed and has so much velocity. And one thing that me and him concentrated on all season, a big thing was, pass blocking, which he's elite at. He's having great leverage, and also being able to, bang between the tackles, get his shoulder pad square, and instead of getting to the edge all the time or trying to run to the sideline, just get vertical from wherever you at on the field. Yeah, that's something he did a really good job at. Like I said, obviously, kid's a elite running back. He has great hands. He can run routes. He's a total package.
Yeah, that total package, I love that he just talks about his elite speed and put his foot in the ground and turn up field. And that's you can put your foot in the ground to change direction, make a decision. But what makes TreVeyon Henderson special is that when he puts his foot in the ground, he goes 0 to 100 like a Ferrari. That's just souped up, in sub 4 seconds. I might be off on the acceleration of a Ferrari. Don't kill me. But that's where his home run hitting ability comes from. And for him to point that out, it's his contact balance is good, but he runs behind his pads. He has that speed. And in his zone scheme, he has really good vision where he knows to set up blockers. In a power downhill running scheme, he knows where the hole is going to be. And when it opens up, he goes. So that's what I like about TreVeyon Henderson. And and it makes sense coming from his college running back coach. That's where he flourished in this Buckeyes offense. And he also ended it with the route running. This is a guy that isn't just a good pass catcher or good in the screen game. This is a guy that can line up out wide and has setup moves for coverage defenders, has double moves to make and hesitations, and understands how to create separation. That is what's important with, you pointed out, also if you have a defensive background, a DB background, you got good hips. If you had offers at wide receiver, you got good footwork. And then you got offers at running back, it's because you can handle the workload. And that makes sense how it all comes together, and you just see it in his game, that background that TreVeyon Henderson brings.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up too, because when I was talking to Loughlin, when I'm researching him, I'm seeing that he was at Ohio State just for this past season with TreVeyon Henderson. So I'm thinking in my head he didn't get a ton of experience with him. Well, Loughlin was actually on the Florida State staff at the time, and he was also recruiting TreVeyon Henderson out of school when he was at Florida State. So he said, he was at TreVeyon Henderson's dining room table and, doing that whole recruiting pitch and everything like that. Back in that case. And also to your point, he was talking about, when TreVeyon was a recruit coming out, how easy it was to tell that his background as a DB, as a corner, as a wide receiver, how much that impacted him once he did become a running back. And he said, that it was very easy to see. Another thing, and we didn't play that clip, but just in talking with Lachlan about TreVeyon Henderson's pass protection and everything like that, because that's what we've heard now for these last 2 weeks, since the Patriots drafted him, was, what a skill set that is. And Lachlan said he was the best college running back, or he was the best running back in college football when it came to pass protection.
Yeah.
And the quote he gave me was, it wasn't even close. And he was just talking about, how much that can help a young quarterback like Drake, especially, when we're talking about a Patriots offensive line, which has been down over the last few years. Obviously, Will Campbell's coming in, and there's some new additions to that offensive line, so hopefully it won't be the same moving forward. But Lachlan was just saying, how vital it was to have that sort of running back in pass protection.
Yeah, and even think about with TreVeyon Henderson going into Ohio State. I know Tony Downs was the guy that recruited him. He's a legendary running backs coach. Left for Ohio State to go to Michigan once Shamar Moore got that job. But it also says a lot about TreVeyon Henderson to stick around. Tony Downs leaves. Carlos Lachlan comes in. He sticks with him, and obviously there's that background there that holds him. And again, this is a guy that was part of a recruiting class with Quinn Ewers, Emeka Egbuka, Donovan Jackson, JT Tuimoloau, probably leaving off another Jack Sawyer. And it's insane. That recruiting class, all those guys got drafted or were an undrafted free agent too. And TreVeyon Henderson stood out amongst them. All right, this is one I'm excited to get to is, you talk high school and people roll the eyes, but it's cool to hear guys from the grassroots. You point out he's 4.0 GPA.
Yeah.
When I was reading about him leading up to the NFL draft, I think it was the Channel 6 affiliate out of Richmond, Virginia. They did a special on him, and it opened up with TreVeyon Henderson, number one running back recruit in the class after his junior season, and he was doing 3-day workouts, triple degree weather, heat out in Virginia. That humidity is different. Kid's number one recruit in the country at his position. He was still doing those 3 days, even after winning state twice and knowing he's going to Ohio State. Here's his head football coach, Ricky Irby, on TreVeyon Henderson getting D1 offers at 4 different positions.
He's a kid. He had major Division I offers at 4 different positions.
Wow.
Notre Dame wanted him as a corner. Clemson wanted him as a safety. Tennessee and Syracuse both offered him as a wide receiver. And of course, by the time he made the full-time transition to running back, everybody wanted him at running back.
Yeah.
I had Lincoln Riley call me when he was first started getting recruited. Talking to Trey and said, "Man, you can come here and be kicker if you want to be a kicker." Trey. He said, "You can play anywhere you want." And he's just an athletic, just an extremely talented kid. And his work ethic and his character is what really makes him great.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, he is going to be a pillar of that community in Boston, and he's going to represent that franchise in a light like no other. He really is.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome to hear. And again, that's another name. We're getting recruited by Oklahoma, and it's Lincoln Riley, fighting to get this kid. It's not an assistant or a positional coach, liking him and trying to make a name. That's the head football coach of Oklahoma, putting his fist on the table, wanting TreVeyon Henderson. That says a lot about the prospect he was and the person he is coming out of high school.
And just what a picture that paints, right? I mean, could you see Lincoln Riley just going into, a high school principal's office or a high school athletic director's office and talking to TreVeyon Henderson and saying, you come here, you can play anything you want. You can be our kicker if that's what you want. You can do anything you want. I just thought that was a really good excerpt from that interview.
Yeah. Now here's his head football coach again, Ricky Irby, from his high school days, on what he saw in TreVeyon Henderson competing and working out with other running backs, different running backs at the same position.
100%, and when he signed with Ohio State out of high school, they also signed, I think, another top 5 running back, a kid named Evan Pryor out of North Carolina. And Trey was fine with that. And for 2 reasons. First off, Trey loves to compete. He wants the best and the best. He wants to compete. And he's just an extremely competitive person. But second of all, he understood, with the running back, it's like tread on a tire. There's only so many miles that you can get on those, and having somebody else there with him to help share the load, I think keeps him fresher, as you saw throughout their playoff run at Ohio State last year.
Yep.
Trey was fresh, and it really paid off for him in the stretch down there to win the national championship. So, those are things that he was very conscious about.
Yep.
And even when he was here, man, he was so good he didn't. I mean, he had 3,000 yards and 50 touchdowns, but most of the games he didn't even play the second half. So he might have 10, 12 carries a game and have 5 touchdowns, and 200 yards. But I think one game his whole career he had over 20 yards for us, and that was the state championship game we played in. And I think there's a little bit of a narrative out there that he's just a speed guy.
Yeah.
He'll stick it in there. I mean, you see his pass protection. I mean, he's amazing, but he just hadn't been asked to do those things. He runs hard behind his pads, and he just didn't have the opportunity as much with Judkins, and even before him, they had the kid Mayan Williams, who was a bigger back than Trey.
Yep.
But Trey's tough. If you watch some of them clips from Ohio State, he'll run over you. He's not scared he doesn't shy away from contact.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what stands out. Again, he has the speed but runs behind his pads. And I think that's what's important. And it's good. He's not afraid of competition. That's what the Patriots need, are guys like that. They don't care who else is in the room. They don't care who else they're bringing in. They want competition in their position. And there's also that buy-in where he understands, like when Quinshad Judkins came in, TreVeyon Henderson, sounds like from his coach, bought in, and he certainly did. And TreVeyon Henderson, if at his best is him getting 12, 13, 14 touches a game, max. But then Rhamondre Stevenson at his best with TreVeyon Henderson is being that first, second down back and getting his 20 touches a game. TreVeyon has a complementary role. But they're both translating success on the ground and in the pass game and in the offense. TreVeyon Henderson sounds like the type of guy that would buy into that. And that's, again, what Mike Vrabel wants when you establish a new culture. Buy in. He always says it, respect the team, I'll respect you. That's respecting the team, where he's not going to be jawing and getting pissed off and moaning in the locker room that he wants more touches or carries or whatever. And why is this guy starting in front of him? He's going to listen to the coaching. And, again, that's what's needed for New England.
Yeah, and in listening to that, in real time when I heard that, I thought the exact same thing. I mean, it's clearly like one of those points that should stick out to Patriots fans, and it's just because, like he said, he's it's not that he doesn't love competition. He's an ultimate competitor when it comes to that, but he understands the benefit that it could have on him by sharing that workload. And there was, I think it was Dane Brugler in The Beast, kind of had a similar story about, when Ohio State went to the portal before last season, they talked to TreVeyon Henderson about it and, kind of felt him out about it and said, how would you react? And his response, and this is, again, according to Brugler, was just, do whatever is best for the team. And now you're talking about, after looking back on the season that he had and how it was very clear that played a good role in his production. And I do think, now he gets to New England and Rhamondre Stevenson's there and, Antonio Gibson, where, he's still in the running back room, at least at this time. And so it could be, what's best for the team is based on going by committee. And it certainly sounds like TreVeyon Henderson will be all for that.
Yeah, and again, when he was at his best, he was a 4-year contributor at Ohio State from day one, but he was getting banged up his sophomore, junior season. Ohio State brought in Judkins, dialed back the touches. I'm talking carries and receptions for TreVeyon Henderson, and he had his best season. If at your best, and the way when I watch him, he has more juice, he has more speed, he has more power to him than to me with an Aaron Jones, who's with the Packers now with the Vikings. But Aaron Jones, like a TreVeyon Henderson, you can line him up all over the field. You can run routes, really good pass catcher, explosive back, has that home run hitting capability. Aaron Jones, watching him year after year, once he gets above 16, 17 touches, that's when he gets injured. He can't make it through games.
Yeah.
And with all the analytics, and there's that marriage of analytics and what you watch on the film and going with your gut and all this, Mike Vrabel's a blend of the past old school football guys and the modern. I mean, he spent a season with the Cleveland Browns. If you go into the front office, you think you're walking into the office of a Fortune 500 company. That's how many employees they have. That's how calculated they are with all their moves. But they are very modern with their analytics. He learned that from the Browns. And they see that with the TreVeyon Henderson. There is a billing. Well, he could be a 3-down back, sure. But what if he doesn't have to be a 3-down back for you to have a successful offense? And if he's not a 3-down back, that gets him to his second contract, that makes him the best thing possible for this offense, and he's splitting carries. And that's where I think that blend is. And again, this is the type of guy where you need that character, where he buys into that. Hey, man, here's what we see. If we keep you to 13 touches a game, that's when you're freshest. That's when you're best. Yeah. That's what's going to give you a long career in the NFL. This sounds like a guy that drops the ego, is humble, and goes, all right, sounds good, man. You're the coach. I'll listen to you. Again, that's a respect towards a team.
Yeah, and especially like just out of the gate, right? I mean, we're talking just his rookie season. If it's 3 years down the line and he is becoming more of that 3-down back or something, I don't think that would be like the worst case scenario either. But I just think like for right now, present day, he's coming into his rookie year. Like let's get him get adjusted to the NFL. And have him split carries and share reps with other running backs. And I do think like that would be best, at this point anyway.
Yeah. All right, here's the last bit we got from his head football coach, Ricky Irby, on his character off the field. I'm excited to hear this one.
And another story that I used to tell a lot of the college coaches that came by that really speaks to his character. Trey's a junior in high school, and it's about Thanksgiving, and we're 8-0, 9-0, and there's a local grocery store that has a grand opening.
Yep.
And so they call me and they want Trey to come up to their grand opening and do this grocery dash against another, person that's in the shopping, that's shopping in the store. And I said, well, look, I'll bring Trey, but I have another kid that probably needs it maybe a little more, whatnot. And so I take the other kid. He does the grocery dash against an elderly lady that's in the store. And the rules were like, okay, you have like 2 minutes to get to as close to $100 as you can in your shopping cart. And if you win, you get your groceries and the other card or something like that.
Yeah.
And so my kid ends up winning. This elder lady, she puts like a turkey and a coffee can in there, and she doesn't win. And so they're celebrating up front with my kid that won, and Trey's up there, and they get both of them like $50 gift cards to the store. And everyone's celebrating, and I look around, and Trey is gone. And so I walk down, and I look down the aisle, and the other elderly lady, she had gone back to shopping. And I see Trey kind of walking away from her in the back of the store. Nobody else is around. And so we get in my car a little later when we're leaving, and I asked Trey, I said, you gave her your gift card, didn't you? And he said, yeah, Coach, she needed it more than me.
Wow.
So, it just speaks to the character of a kid that's 17 years old to think about others and the way he does. And, even to this day, what he gives back to our community is, he's a legend here. He's just a folk hero, and he's an inspiration to everybody in our city.
Absolutely love that. That's like small town USA, Hopewell, high school product in, Virginia, right outside of Richmond, just a like grassroots, down to earth kid. Absolutely love that story.
Yeah, me too. And it definitely stuck out. And that's what I mean by, just hearing from these people who know him, who know him so well, who spent draft weekend with him, and, them sharing these stories about him, off the field that you really wouldn't know about. And just to piggyback off that, I was talking to Lachlan during my conversation with him, and he was saying a lot of the same things, and just about what a great character he is, and the character he has, and how much he's going to miss him. And he was saying, he's like, we're at Ohio State, we're going to have running backs that come in next year, and they're going to be really talented kids and everything. But he's like, the leader that he was in the room, and just everything that he really put forth, I'm gonna. And he was, this is from Lachlan. He was saying, I'm gonna miss him. I'm really gonna miss him. And it goes to show, like, I think we've discussed this since the draft, but the Patriots they targeted players and these prospects and draftees that, they're talented kids on the field, but it is, I don't think it's too far to say like they really did target these kids for their character, and for who they are off the field. And I think, stories like the one that Coach Irby shared with me, as well as Lachlan, kind of said that.
Yeah, and I think that's important too. I mean, if he's a leader, this is a roster that got older in free agency, then got really young. Just over 30% of the roster is undrafted free agents and rookies. So you can bring in the guys that are vets, and you could bring in the guys like a Morgan Moses that's 34 years old, been in the league 11 years as a vet, and he could be one of your leaders. But eventually there's that detachment. Like Morgan Moses has a family, has kids. The young guys, the rookies, those are the ones that after practice go out to dinner together. Those are the ones that hang out together, spend more time together. They got less going on. They need to be the leaders eventually. You could bring in all these vets, as many rings as they got, But it's in a way they are the one that's an outlier in the locker room, and it's tough to be that leader if you don't seriously connect with the guys. So that's what's also important when they bring in a Will Campbell, a TreVeyon Henderson, a Craig Woodson, a Jared Wilson, all these guys that they see will be contributors. It's also they're going to be young leaders, and whether they're captains now or they're captains 2-3 years from now, they're going to be the voices of the rooms that have to step up. You could bring in the vets, but eventually those young voices have to step up, and those are the ones that resonate more. I would love to see the footage of that grocery shopping dash. Imagine that old lady, she walks in, she's like, I got a 5-star recruit I'm going against. I'll throw him into the wall.
Yeah, and it's funny to hear, like you said, the small town aspect of this thing is, a market's calling. They're like, we really want the 5-star kid to be coming in here and doing this competition for us, so we can all see him in action too.
Yeah, right.
But I just thought that was great. Yeah.
Carrying a turkey like it's a football. Hey, if you guys are enjoying the show, you're enjoying the conversation, make sure to check out Boston Has Entered the Chat. Wherever you get your podcasts, we talk about all trending sports news, culture around Boston and the country and around the world. Available on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Twitch, YouTube, and wherever else you get your podcasts. All right, let's talk some depth charts then, Sean. So as it breaks down, 4 running backs really on the roster for the Patriots, more like 3. But it's Rhamondre Stevenson, TreVeyon Henderson, Antonio Gibson, and Terrell Jennings. Terrell Jennings has been the 3rd, 4th running back on the depth chart, had 33 carries last season, fine. But it really is, how do the top 3 break down? How do you see it going with Rhamondre Stevenson coming off a career-high year of fumbles? But Rhamondre Stevenson, as we've seen, can be the guy in the backfield and lead this offense in touches. And then also TreVeyon Henderson, similar skill set to an Antonio Gibson too.
Yeah, I would still say it's still Rhamondre's backfield at this point. I certainly could see TreVeyon Henderson jumping Antonio Gibson as that second, and as a 3rd down back in the short, in short order, I guess you could say. I do think like the thing about the fumbles is certainly relevant, but I do think like I remember back to I can't remember when Vrabel said it, but he was talking about Rhamondre Stevenson and kind of talked about like. Yeah, but there was a lot to those plays, someone missing a block or someone doing this or someone doing that.
Yeah.
And, not that he was like, giving Rhamondre Stevenson an out and saying like the fumble wasn't important. Like he wasn't obviously saying that. He was just saying, there was a lot that goes into that sort of stuff. And I think when I heard that at the time of him saying it, I thought, I'm like, okay, so he definitely still views Rhamondre Stevenson in a pretty high regard. And I think, that you can't really overlook that. So I do think, TreVeyon Henderson's going to come in. He's going to have an impact. He's going to touch the ball. I can't see him like, the week 1 starter over Rhamondre Stevenson. I will say, though, like if Rhamondre Stevenson fumbles the ball once or twice and, in the first 2-3 games of the season, I certainly think like you could see an escalated timeline when it comes to TreVeyon Henderson, maybe taking over as that starter. If we're thinking like week 1, I don't see it being then.
Yeah, and that's what I think too. And that was it too. Like 7 fumbles is bad no matter what. But the context is that offensive line was so terrible. It was never in sync. And there was a bunch of practice squad guys up front. If you're getting hit before you even really have the ball secure, and if you're getting hit just nonstop too, like the wear and tear on the body, the fatigue, everything like that, it all adds up. So an improved offensive line should be better for Rhamondre Stevenson. Now, a coach like Mike Vrabel is not just going to say, offensive line's fixed, so Rhamondre will be good. He's going to work on it with them. And there's also the accountability that comes with having a head coach like Mike Vrabel. It's not, Rhamondre's been fumbling, we're going to bench him, he needs to learn, he cannot fumble, and then he sits out a 3-and-out to start the game, and then he's in. Because that's not a benching. That's not discipline. It's not accountability. That's a real deal with this entire coaching staff. But I'm the same way. What makes the most sense to me is that we see a Rhamondre Stevenson as running back 1. And if it's simple as he's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and short down back. And also we can see it where you have Rhamondre Stevenson and TreVeyon Henderson lining up in the backfield together or just in the same formation. And that's what I get to of, this goes into the Josh McDaniels aspect of it all. Where we could talk, say the same thing. We could talk 11 personnel, 12 personnel, and we could talk who's wide receiver 1, who's wide receiver 2, who's wide receiver 3. If the best thing for this offense is having the best football players out there and best athletes to a point, but someone that's high IQ and has a refined route running like a TreVeyon Henderson, I wouldn't be shocked if it's Stephon Diggs, Kyle Williams, and TreVeyon Henderson out there in an 11 personnel look with the tight end, and then you also have Rhamondre Stevenson in the backfield. Putting the defense in conflicts, keeping them guessing, keeping them on their heels instead of their toes, and just confusing them, because that's the genius that would tap in with the Josh McDaniels. It could be maybe pay attention more to snap count. I'm so intrigued on what this offense will look like, because no one seriously knows. We could talk West Coast offense. We could talk, having a fullback and going downhill running. We could talk heavy play action, screen game. We could talk spread it out, pro style, whatever it may be. Josh McDaniels was away for football for a year, like traveling the backcountries of college programs, learning at Washington, learning at Ohio State from Chip Kelly, learning anyone he knows, any of his connections, watching film, keeping up with the game. This is going to be something that's interesting. And a player like TreVeyon Henderson plays into that strength because he's so multiple. So I think snap counts will be more intriguing. I know I talk about all the touches, but that's what I'm interested in. What Josh McDaniels takes his offense to, and what he does with a weapon like a TreVeyon Henderson.
So I jumped the gun on you for a sec when you said Josh McDaniels. I thought you were going in a different direction. But the way I was going to say is it's also like, Josh McDaniels is kind of famously known in his offense for like these rookie running backs, these younger running backs, kind of taking some time to get fully adjusted. The James White example is, I think, to me, the one that sticks out. James White was a 4th-round pick, so he wasn't the exact same he didn't have the same hype right now as TreVeyon Henderson did, but James White touched the ball like 14 times in 3 games his rookie year. So it was a complete redshirt year. And he's not the only example. He's the most recent, maybe most like telling, glaring example to me right now, but he's not the only one. So, I think that just goes to show, like, I don't think we should expect TreVeyon Henderson to see the ball on 100 touches or whatever like that. Maybe 100, maybe he'll break that, but I can't see him becoming this bell cow running back is, I guess, maybe the point that I'm trying to make in his rookie season. Yeah,
that's and even for James White when he took off, it was more as a receiving back. And and that's what I wonder too. And that's why an Antonio Gibson helps. You don't have to rush TreVeyon Henderson into any role.
Yep.
And so I look at it, and the saving, if they cut, like Gibson's real money's done. They save $1.4 million. They still have all this cap space remaining. What does that do for you? If having an Antonio Gibson allows you to let TreVeyon Henderson mature and maturate and marinate, and then a few weeks into the season, then he goes, and that's fine. Or maybe after a redshirt year, like you say. I also look at a guy that was a 4-year player at Ohio State in an offense for receivers and running backs that does translate to the NFL. Will turn 23 in October, and I have confidence in him that he can hit the ground running. You mentioned 4.0 GPA, him coming from Ohio State, that all matters. And again, that is a place where Josh McDaniels spent time. That's where I get excited, because watching how Chip Kelly used a Will Howard, sprint outs, play actions, RPOs, you running QB powers. Like, that's good, what we're going to see with the Drake Maye. But then also how Chip Kelly used TreVeyon Henderson. Riley Larkin's in that offensive room as an assistant. That's going to help with TreVeyon Henderson making his move from Columbus to Foxborough as well. And if he redshirts, this is still a multi-year rebuild. This is still going to take some time for this team to get right. They can't keep spending in free agency. It's going to take multiple drafts. So if a year, 2 from now, that's when TreVeyon Henderson really shines through. Awesome. Patience is still the name of the game with this team.
And I should have clarified that too. Like, I'm not trying to say that I expect TreVeyon Henderson.
Look, I'm not accusing you, bro. Don't worry about this. This is safe space. This is safe space.
I don't expect it to be like a redshirt year like it was for James White. I just mean, like, tempering expectations a little bit when it comes to this week 1 or week 2, week 3 sort of thing. I do think eventually we're going to see him kind of take off, but I think even then he'll still benefit from being behind Rhamondre Stevenson, unless Rhamondre Stevenson coughs up the job. I guess both figuratively and literally. But so I just, that's kind of how I see it shaking out, is he's going to be behind Rhamondre, and but he's still going to be used and effective and productive as well.
Hey, don't forget, there's a fullback. It was one of their undrafted free agents, Brock Lampy, out of Northern Illinois. I was going to say,
I didn't know if we were going to get into any Lan Larison talk today based on this depth check conversation.
Oh yeah, no, that was I wanted to bring up Lan Larison, Again, that's a guy to be multiple. I think he makes a roster as a gunner and as a returner with that upside. And you talk about red shirts. That was Julian Edelman his first 4 years in the league. He wasn't a receiver until year 4 after being drafted out of Kent State. He was a returner, and he was a good returner for the Patriots.
Yep.
That's the upside I can see with the Land Larison as a gunner and as a returner in the punt and kicking game. And that's a guy, again, that's multiple. Natural athlete, seen him line up all over. Does he actually become a running back? Man, I'm not going to say that with a UC Davis product and a guy that was an undrafted free agent. Like he looked like Christian McCaffrey when you watch his tape. He was playing at UC Davis, and he was an undrafted free agent for a reason. The draft told us what he is. The NFL told us what he is. But yeah, I want to go a little Brock Lampy, talk some fullback talk. Because again, that's what we get with Josh McDaniels. I seriously don't know.
Yeah, I've seen a lot about Land Larison on social media these last few weeks, and it would definitely make you think he wasn't an undrafted free agent and that he was much higher regarded. But I can't put too much stock into that at this current moment.
I'm not gonna knock Land Larison before he gets going. I'm not gonna crap all over his dreams. He's not going to be taking touches away from TreVeyon Henderson or Rhamondre Stevenson.
Yes, exactly.
If he is, one of two things. He's an absolute gem, and you hit the lottery, or a lot of stuff went bad. And
or a lot went wrong, yep.
If option 2 happens, there are free agents out there, actual running backs. It's also all 31 undrafted free agents and rookies aren't making the roster. Like Kobe Minor, by that logic, Kobe Minor is going to be taking away snaps from Carlton Davis week 3. Like he's going to be CB2.
Christian Gonzalez.
Yeah, I was not going to go there. I was not going there. You went there. I did not go there. But yeah, we'll save the Land Larison talk for another time. Hey, if you're enjoying the show, you can catch new episodes of Foxborough Rush every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can catch all the latest news surrounding the Patriots as we work through this offseason, like running back depth chart talk. Foxborough Rush, wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple, Amazon Prime, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. You can watch it there. If you're watching on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and leave a comment. You know we love our mailbags on this show. All right, some past Patriots talk. Speaking of Julian Edelman, elected into the Patriots Hall of Fame. Julian Edelman elected over Adam Vinatieri. I'm sorry to Julian Edelman, and I hate I started the conversation there. He's a definitive Patriots Hall of Famer. No doubt about it, wears a red jacket. 3-time Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, was a pillar for the Patriot way, and one of those last pieces of the second dynasty of this franchise that was winning at a historic level and success rates unlike we've ever seen. Still don't get out of Vinatieri is not yet in the Patriots Hall of Fame because the dynasty wouldn't be what it is without him. They don't make it to the first Super Bowl without Adam Vinatieri. Not the defense, not Tom Brady, without Adam Vinatieri being clutch. What do you think of Julian Edelman getting that call, getting into the Pats Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I don't, and I know you guys talked about it a little bit yesterday on chat, so I don't want to rehash everything you guys said. But
go ahead, do it. This is a different show. I'm serious.
I don't have any problem with Julian Edelman getting in over Adam Vinatieri, and I think the reason I say that is because of the way the vote is. It's the media. It's the Hall of Fame committee is consisting of media and staff and Patriots alumni. So they are the ones that choose the 3 finalists. But then from the 3 finalists, it's a fan vote, and I can't blame fans for voting in Julian Edelman. And I kind of think so for a handful of reasons. One is obviously recency bias. I mean, Julian Edelman was here not even 5 years ago, and all of that sort of thing. Adam Vinatieri is not. It's been decades since it's been 15, almost 20 years, and since he's been in New England. So it's the sustainability, and not sustainability in success, but just kind of as I just said. Julian Edelman was a lifelong Patriot. Adam Vinatieri played more seasons in Indy. He played 14 in Indy and 10 in New England. So while Patriots fans will remember him, for the Snow Bowl and the Super Bowl kicks and everything like that, there are people in Indy who will say, well, he won a Super Bowl with us. He played 14 seasons for us compared to 10 for you guys. So he's actually more of a Colt than he is a Patriot. And I get that argument. I also just think it's and maybe this has to do with recency bias as well, but the visibility when it comes to Edelman, you're talking about a guy who went to, he grew up, he was a Bay Area kid, but he became a New Englander. You know, he became a Bostonian when it came to, you know, Bruins, Celtics, Red Sox games. And, you know, also like all the stuff since he's stopped playing, whether it's Tom Brady's Hall of Fame induction last year or the Brady roast or, you know, his obvious podcasts and social stuff. Like, I think all of that matters to fans. And I think that all has a big reason on why fans voted him in. And because the induction comes to a fan vote, I can't blame fans for doing it.
Yes. I get they voted Edelman. No, you're right. Like 100% you're right. And that's what goes into it when you open it up to a fan vote.
Yeah.
Your Red Jackets and your Hall of Fame should have the legends of the franchise inducted into it. Julian Edelman is one of the best players in Patriots franchise history. Adam Vinatieri is the greatest kicker in the history of football. Just the same way Robert Kraft forced and pushed Bill Parcells into it, which is fine. That's Robert Kraft making amends with Bill Parcells. The same way Robert Kraft is doing that, next year, it's no doubt about it. Rob, do the same thing, Robbie. I'll call you Robbie, not Robert, not RKK. Robbie, do the same thing. You know, supposed to hold on to it. But Adam Vinatieri's getting his red jacket this year. Mic drop. See y'all. And we'll find out who the other player is. That's how we should go at this point. Because it is ridiculous that Vinatieri isn't getting in. And as long as he's not in, player X, Y, Z that continues to get voted in and earns a red jacket will continue to hear the first thing when they get elected. Why isn't Adam Vinatieri in? The same way, hey, do the same thing. You know what I would love? Keep it to a fan vote. Fans elect one player. You announce that player. No, this is what you should do first, actually. But what they should do, you announce it, Gronk and Vinatieri right away go in. You should not hesitate for one more second. Now, if I'm the Indianapolis Colts, I'm watching this from, you know, Indianapolis, Indiana. I was going to say middle of nowhere America, but I didn't want to disrespect upper Midwest like that. It's a flyover part of the country for a reason. If I'm watching that, I'm going, we're putting Vinatieri in our ring. Let's do it right now. He won a Super Bowl, played with us 14 seasons, as you pointed out. Julian Edelman, no doubt about it. Patriots Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. Just where the ways where, like, you run the team, you can do what you want. Just like you bake into a contract that an assistant defensive coordinator is going to get the job from your head coach who's legendary. Just like you can do that on your own and walk around these league rules. Walk around your old rules and just put Adam Vinatieri in. That's it. Get off my soapbox, maybe.
No, I'm good. I'm good with everything you just said, and I think it comes down to
when Edelman got in. He was one of my favorite players growing up. Him and Wes Welker.
And that's why.
For 5'6" white guys, like that's like they are the I can make it to the NFL. There's a lot more that got in the way of that. But like that is like absolutely loved them, and they're revered by this area. Wes Welker, I don't think as much. Keep that aside. But yeah, Edelman is. But it's like you're just doing a disservice to these legends of your franchise. Like just do something right and help them out.
Yeah, it all just I completely agree. It comes back to the process, and it's like I don't think this is a team honor. It's not it's not the Pro Football Hall of Fame where there needs to be like these strict rules and things. So I do think what you just said about the Gronk example next year. Like I think that's a fair one. I think Robert Kraft can use a little wiggle room when it comes to this stuff and be like, well, the fans want him, but we know Vinatieri belongs, and there's no reason that he should have to wait. So we're going to put him in this year, and instead it's going to be a 3-person class or whatever the case may be. But I think it all comes back to the process. And so if you want to do something with the fan vote, because I also understand why the Patriots would want to do something with a fan vote, but if you want to do something with that, maybe it's like, the fans vote on one of these 3 finalists and the Hall of Fame committee votes on one of these 3 finalists. And if they don't line up, both of them go in. And if they do line up, that one goes in. And then it's a much easier example. And so I think it comes down to that because, if Vinatieri couldn't beat Edelman, what's to say he'll beat Rob Gronkowski when Rob Gronkowski's on? And so this could get awkward. and unless you come in and you just say, no, we're putting Vinatieri in because he deserves it. And everybody knows that, no one is disagreeing with that. Unless you do that, it could get awkward and you could have this conversation all over again next year, like you said.
And maybe there's some stuff we don't know, right? Adam Vinatieri behind closed doors. Adam Vinatieri's relationship with the Crafts. That leads to this. But hey, man, what I know is what I know. Greatest kicker of all time. Literally the greatest kicker of all time. I would buy a Vinatieri jersey. I should. Why not? Get a kicker jersey. For the latest on the Celtics' quest for Banner 19, make sure to check out Nesson's basketball podcast, Hold My Banner, available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. Let's talk jerseys and numbers real quick. So Patriots put out their rookie numbers. I'm going to run through these, Sean. Kyle Williams, wide receiver, 18. Kobe Minor, Mr. Irrelevant, wearing 19. Craig Woodson, the safety, 31. Love that for a safety. TreVeyon Henderson, 32. Andres Borregales will wear 36, a kicker. Swinson, 43. Braden Swinson, the edge rusher, 43. Don't love that. Ashby, the long snapper, 47. Bryant, 52. Wilson, Jared Wilson, the center, 58. Will Campbell, 66. Joshua Farmer, given the Devon Godshaw number, 92. Like these numbers? Just have fun with it, Sean. You know? Yeah. I love Williams in 18.
I love Williams in 18. I love Joshua Farmer in 92. I don't like Swinson in 43. I don't like Borregales in 36.
He's but like, who else is going to wear 36? Like, who are you taking that number from? That's my argument there. So he's a kicker.
I guess that's fair. Also, Marcus Bryant, an offensive tackle, wearing 52. I don't love that either.
Yeah, that looks ugly.
I would say if I was to rank a top 3, it's Farmer 1, Williams 2, and Henderson 3.
Okay.
In some order, I would say that's my top 3.
I like it. I'm skimming through the roster at this point, and me unbeknownst of like whose numbers are retired and who isn't. I would like Braden Swinson and maybe give me a 97's taken, 95. Yeah, I guess 43. Give him a 44. But 44 is taken by Caleb Von Chise. Yeah, exactly. Give him 44. He's an edge rusher. The one I like in all this, thank God Kyle Williams went to 18. Craig Woodson, 31. To me, that's just like a hard hitting, and that's not necessarily his game. That's a safety number. TreVeyon Henderson, college number was 32. He wore that in honor of his grandpa, who's nicknamed Airplane. Went to the same high school as TreVeyon Henderson. He wears 32 to honor him, and the reason he was nicknamed Airplane is because of how he flew around the football field. So really cool for TreVeyon Henderson to get 32 and all of that. Will Campbell, 66. I said it to Trav, like, if he gets a Pro Bowl at left tackle, I'll buy a Will Campbell jersey. I'll do it. I don't care. I don't own any offensive lineman jersey. 66 Campbell, that's one I would get.
I saw that Devin McCourty, obviously famous for wearing 32 in New England, he kind of signed off and said, can't wait to see someone with speed wearing 32, which is pretty funny coming from Devin McCourty, given how fast he was as well.
Good self-deprecation.
And then, yeah, exactly. Perfect little shot at yourself. Will Campbell, 66. I don't think he could do anything else. I don't think he was ever going to do anything else. So I do like Williams in 18 though. It's those sorts of, it's either got to be like one of those teens or like an 80s. And you got Pop's wearing 81, Booty's an 80.
18 for his build is perfect. 18 for his build is perfect. What I would like to see, like for Braden Swinson, I don't know how much longer Keyshawn Booty's going to be on the roster. So I wouldn't be shocked if he's all of a sudden number 9 next season. I was going to say. Okay. My guy's speed. My guy's all edge. Get him in a single digit number. Get him in 9. That's what I want to see.
I wouldn't hate 9 either. I mean, Judon wore 9 too, right?
Yeah, Judon did wear 9. Exactly. Red Sleeves wore 9. I'll take it on an edge rusher. Yeah. And that's number talk on Foxborough Rush with Sean and George.
That's right.
Again, I'm just happy Kyle Williams got it right. I'm very big on the aesthetic of the number you wear. And the Devin McCourty reaction, our producer Brendan, he had the same thing. He's like, TreVeyon Henderson's wearing 32. And I'm like, and that's great. He's like, Devin McCourty. And I go, I get it. But someone's got to wear 32. And it's such big rosters too. Like, again, they have 90 dudes in camp. We'll see the number shake up after. He's Sean McGuire. I'm George Balekji. This is Foxborough Rush. Appreciate you guys making us a part of your day. New episodes dropping 3 days a week. Always catch them on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one, everyone.